Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.
Welcome to another week of Undercurrent. I'm Christy Molliker. Well, tonight's episode finds me in the rather glamorous west end of Perth, and more about that throughout the episode. Well, a recent study found that 1/3 of Australians are left hungry each week. Nikita Dixon investigates.
The threat of higher interest rates has returned to haunt families.
To raise electricity prices in next week's budget.
Prices rose more strongly than expected in the June quarter.
Cost of fresh produce is set to soar.
The ongoing crisis in the Middle East will be felt very soon at the petrol pump here.
Household budgets to be hit by the biggest jump in electricity prices in 5 years.
The rising cost of living is putting the pressure on many parents in WA. Research shows 1 in every 3 parents are going hungry to ensure their children have food on the table.
We've noticed an increase in the number of families that are ringing our offices that are saying it is more difficult. We've got 8 offices across WA, right up in Port Hedland and Karratha and Collie and here in the Metro. And our workers are reporting that families are ringing up more and more saying they're in financial hardship.
At this point in time, I'm struggling every single week. Don't have any spare cash. In fact, some weeks don't even have enough cash. I've basically sold stuff in garage sales to get money. So that's the way I have to live at this point in time.
I think for people who are disadvantaged on low income, single parent families in particular, most of the income is based on food and utilities and those basic things. So any increases in that are clearly having a big impact. Definitely
food and petrol. They're the biggest things for me. Electricity as well, that's a huge thing. I've noticed my bill has just absolutely skyrocketed and I don't use very much stuff. So who knows what's going on there.
Your Centrelink check has increased as these things have at all?
No,
so
not at all.
The same this whole
it's
time?
pretty much stayed the same, yeah. So there might have been slight increases along the way, but nothing compared to what's actually needed for a person to support, a child as well.
Look, I think there's a number of supports that aren't in place, and there are families that are falling through the gaps. So there's certainly Centrelink payments and so on available, but it really doesn't break the cycle.
Even to look for a job, you've got to have some money there to look for a job. You've got to be able to buy some clothes or buy interview stuff or be able to get to the job. And I wouldn't say I was in particularly a good position to be able to do some of those things on some days. Not all days, but some days.
Well, they say that 1 in 3 parents are going hungry at the moment to feed their children. Have you ever experienced anything like that?
Not hungry as much as the fact that if we've got something in the fridge, I'll give it to Rhiannon first or my daughter first. I wouldn't take it first, put it that way. I'd make sure she had what was the best in there, and I don't care if I survive on toast. It doesn't affect me, but I always try and make sure I've got things that will stretch, but at the same time, the amount of money that you get from Centrelink to keep you going each week is just not meeting those needs. It's not meeting the basic needs, that's the problem.
We're having reports of more and more families ringing up, having difficulties, and really tough decisions, like people are having to say, when it's a choice between food on the table and perhaps a new textbook or new uniform for school, well, clearly it's going to be food on the table. So that's something to be really concerned about by government, because to deprive that child of an education, or that child walking through the classroom door with torn clothes or shoes, there's the social stigma, and that can make a huge difference from the time they're young.
So what kind of support would you like to see the government giving to parents in future?
I'd like to see them recognise that you can't suddenly throw people onto the poverty line, because at this point in time I find it hard to even get in the car and drive off to go and even do anything, just normal everyday living. I have to actually think, can I actually leave the house until later today or until tomorrow? So they're not really recognising the fact they're putting a lot of people into major problems poverty-wise.
There's a cycle that's often intergenerational, where a child's brought up in a family where dad doesn't work, mum doesn't work, have a low level of education perhaps, and so that's the cycle that needs to be broken.
Without adequate government support to match price hikes in living expenses, it's likely the average single parent will continue to struggle to make ends meet. I'm Nikita Dixon for Undercurrent.
Well, I'm wandering down the rather peaceful Wolf Lane here in Perth's West End, and this is just one of the places that is under the careful watch of the City of Perth surveillance program, which recently has undergone a major upgrade with many more cameras installed and Big Brother taken to a whole new level. Jasmine Stewart investigates.
This Christmas season sees an increase in retail activity, but also an increase in crime and fraud. We're here today at the Perth Safe City Traders Breakfast to find out more.
I work at Busy Bee Pharmacy, which is located corner of James and William Street in Northridge. We have so much theft going on in the store. Yeah, especially as the season comes around, everyone's more strapped for cash. It happens as soon as you turn your back, like something's happening in the corner of the store. It's pretty bad out there.
Theft and fraud is obviously an issue for all retailers. It's something that Myer is very well prepared for. We have great CCTV systems inside our stores. We link in with centre security at each of our sites, and then certainly in the City of Perth, we link very closely with the City of Perth and police. So there's a whole team working together to deal with issues of theft and fraud.
Basically, the city's trying to establish in people's mind that we are a safe city, that the CCTV, they're watching them for their safety.
The CCTV system in general is a brilliant thing to have, and these days you can't run a city without it.
Look, I think that CCTV takes a very big place in the investigation of crimes, particularly. Provides us with some permanent and strong evidence in relation to offences that take place. We
actually call the camera room on a regular basis, and the police are there to support us really, really quickly, so it's all positive.
Once this is shown in the courtroom, and that is very difficult for them to say, oh no, that wasn't me, I didn't do it. It's there clear as day on the footage, so it's a brilliant thing.
So could you please briefly describe for us at home what Blue Iris is and what it does for Perth?
Sure, Blue Iris is a central registry of CCTV systems. The registrations are voluntary entered into the system, and we collate the data into a database and interactive overlay so that we can use that for investigative purposes within WA Police. They are existing systems, so they would have been professionally installed. They're not owned by WA Police, they're owned by the proprietaries of the buildings and business premises. And overall, the bigger Blue Iris gets, the bigger community safety tool that we build.
Well, we work very, very closely with the City of Perth, so if we have someone in our store that's trying to steal from us, we will give them a call so that they can put their cameras on our entrance exits and actually follow them then from our store around the town and to other retailers, make other retailers aware and call police in to deal with them. So from a City of Perth point of view, it really is geared up to make sure it's a safe place for our customers and also a place that criminals aren't welcome and will get caught.
We've got operators trying to find these people on camera, we've got the police looking over, getting on the radio, tasking the response. It all happens really quickly, far quicker than somebody, for instance, ringing 000 or something and it gets diverted around. We're on it immediately, and so even if they manage to get out of the shop, they're being followed. Whereas without our system, they get out of the shop, turn the corner, they're gone. That's it. Not with us.
If information is required or something happens, that we can go back on that information and be able to assist those people, be it a crime, it may be even a lost child. It may be we need to direct emergency services to a particular incident. So it's a range of different things, and it's part of a bigger picture. It's not the be-all and end-all, it's part of the process we can use for a safe city.
The City of Perth has put together 2 new systems, one by SMS warning and the other the Blue Iris surveillance system, which is a joint initiative with WA Police, in order to improve safety within the City of Perth. I'm Jasmine Stewart reporting for Undercurrent.
Well, this week we certainly kept Jasmine Stewart on her toes when she took to the streets of the rather festive City of Perth to find out what you think about Western Australia breaking away from the rest of the country and becoming its very own nation. Let's see what you had to say.
We are one, but we are many.
WA Premier Colin Barnett has warned of a pulling apart of the Australian Federation if the state's GST allocation is not rectified. We asked the people of Perth if WA is better off independent. Do you think WA should be an independent country to all the other states?
Definitely.
Why is that?
Because we're the ones that do all the work and the other ones are taking the money in Canberra.
Do you think that WA should be an independent country?
No.
No.
Definitely not.
No. No.
Why is that?
Why should it be?
Because we're part of Australia.
Well, I think Australia's one country. It's good the way it is.
Do you think WA people would benefit if we were independent from all the other states?
Not really.
Why is that?
Better trade in that if we're not independent.
I think we've got what it takes to be one, yes, absolutely.
Not really, no. I think it's part of Australia.
Do you think WA should be an independent country?
Always have.
Absolutely. It's far enough away from everything else, it may as well be. People are a whole lot better.
I think we should just be like one Australia, like get rid of the state system. Then everybody lives under the same rules and regulations.
Do you think we would benefit from being independent to the East Coast?
Who knows? Maybe we will. Yeah, maybe yes.
Think it would be a good thing?
Probably yes, yes.
Eastern states seem to be reaping all the benefits with all the tax money. It seems to be going over east and WA's left with not much. So do you think that we would benefit from being independent to the other states?
No, I don't think there's enough infrastructure here. While it's got the resources, I think there's a lot to be gained from the eastern states.
I don't know whether nothing comes back to WA, but they're the most populous states, I suppose, so they had some claim, but this is the urban paradise we choose to live in, isn't it? So,
do you think it's fair that the East Coast seems to be reaping all the benefits?
I think if we're united, then we help each other, but if we become independent, then, you know...
So do you think it should be divided equally then?
Probably not equally, but we should be helping each other.
National resource, and it should be divided with an...
Should be divided equally?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I think the other states deserve a little bit as well. WA hasn't been solely supported by its own state its whole history, I don't believe, so...
Views about whether Western Australia should be an independent nation are divided. However, would the state really benefit from separation? I'm Jasmine Stewart reporting for Undercurrent.
We are one, but we are many.
Well, certainly a very controversial topic. And if you would like to have your say on the things that matter to the people of Perth, then you can join us every Tuesday on the city streets around about lunchtime. Or join me after the break for more Undercurrent.
Undercurrent, sponsored by John Hughes in Victoria Park. Choose your station before you choose your program. Absolutely.